All right, folks, welcome back to the Crisis Report. We're going to do the alert live today because of time, quickness, and everything else. Appreciate you being here. We are brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. Links in the description for other places you can find us like Gab, Minds, Truth, Twitter, X, Subscribe Star, Locals, and Substack. Substack, of course, is where you can get the Crisis Report online with all of the links, and you can find exactly what you are looking for, what we are talking about, and all of that. So, yes, this is a rare one, but this is the way we got to roll today. So we got everything done, and I got about 15 minutes to do it. So let's get started on your crisis report alert for January 26, 2026. Here we go. Ursula von der Leyen, Antonio Costa, and the Indian president arrived in a horse-drawn carriage to attend India's Republic Day parade. Happy birthday to India. Animal soldiers, including Bactrian camels, raptors, Zanskar ponies, and indigenously bred military dogs, joined the military personnel as part of India's Republic Day parade. NATO Chief Rutte said, as we speak, billions of dollars worth of essential American military hardware is flowing into Ukraine, paid for by allies and partners, absolutely vital. For 2026, Ukraine has forecast military requirements from donors totaling just over $60 billion. NATO Chief Rutte defends Trump, says, I will defend him now and then this afternoon. He was the one during 45 who already said there is an issue with Arctic security, and I think he's right, because he is. Facial recognition technology and police AI are going to be rolled out across England and Wales in the UK's new police reforms, with more than 140 million sterling to be invested in new technologies. We call it Big Brother. UK Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood said 100 years ago fingerprinting was decried as curtailing our civil liberties, but today we could not imagine policing without it. I have no doubt the same will prove true to facial recognition technology in the years to come. There's absolutely not even in the same universe fingerprinting someone and using complete data of an Orwellian surveillance state with facial recognition. It's just a stupid statement. 2 British nationals that were broadcasting content likely to incite hatred live on YouTube were arrested near Calais and taken into custody. Wow. AI is costing more jobs than it's creating to the UK, with the introduction of AI leading to a net 8% reduction in roles over the past 12 months, double the average reported by companies in the US, Germany, Japan, and Australia. Chat check. Good. Good to see you. Here we go. Trump sends border czar Tom Homan to Minneapolis. Homan will report directly to Trump and coordinate with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. They're switching up tactics, obviously, after what has been going on, as that is leading us to a little old CW. By the way, maybe they want us to fight against each other so we don't go against the government for doing crazy stuff. Huh? Just saying. I'm not saying attack anybody or anything, but interesting how there is this whole notion of trying to pit people against each other. I say we just kind of sit back and be calmly, get the information, and try to do things in a peaceful way. Silver hits a new record, $110, 54% up this month. It's going to keep going. China is buying en masse. 1 year, price of silver increased by 280% since January of 2025. While the silver and gold skyrocket, the U.S. dollar index has extended losses to 1.5% this month. Now it's lowest level since September 18th. It looks like Trump is in big trouble and China is getting hit hard. European Union regulators on Monday announced an investigation of Elon Musk's social media platform X after the authorities said it had failed to stop the spread of sexualized images generated by artificial intelligence. United Arab Emirates announced that it would not allow an attack on Iran from its territory. United Arab Emirates announced in a statement that it won't allow its airspace, territory, or waters to be used in any hostile military actions against Iran, nor to provide any logical or logistical support in that regard. If you're not getting prepped for the hammer down coming on the old Iranian Republic, you might want to check your head. Kanye West has issued a public apology to Jewish people for his anti-Semitism over the last few years with a full-page ad in the Wall Street Journal. He feels bad. Department of Homeland Security says it is reviewing its investigating body camera footage from the encounter that led to the fatal shooting of Alex Pretty in Minnesota the other day. Protesters just smashed up cars outside a hotel in Minnesota and covered them in graffiti that said F ICE. They believe ICE agents were staying in that hotel. Saudi Arabia and Qatar have also announced privately that they will not allow the United States military to launch attacks against Iran from their bases. Iran has sent very serious signals to countries in the Persian Gulf recent days, which were escalatory in nature. In other words, don't be sure about the security of Dubai or Doha if the U.S. launches attacks from the Gulf, they said. Court filing reveals Minneapolis church raiders blocked parents from their children during the Sunday school and harassed a child, saying their parents would burn in hell. That's a great way to get your throat punched. There was a reported sexual assault every 54 minutes in London in 2025, and Lord knows that putting a bunch of surveillance cameras is going to stop that. Metropolitan Police data shows 9,744 reported last year. Highest totals by borough include Croydon, Southwark, Newham, Tower Hamlets, and Westminster. Department of Justice has lost every single case against a defendant who attacked a federal officer in Chicago and Los Angeles during riots last year so far due to jury nullifications. It's likely any arrest of a protester in Minneapolis is going to follow suit. Think about that for one moment. Every single case lost. Guardian says we ran high-level U.S. CW simulations, and Minnesota is exactly how they start, which is pertaining to my statement earlier. Pitting us against us will keep us from getting mad from all the financial chicanery that's going on in the background, making us poor. Developments in Minnesota closely mirror a scenario explored in the 2024 exercise from the Center for Ethics and Rule of Law, or CERL, at the University of Pennsylvania. Governor Walz, Minnesota National Guard is on standby with local officials. While Trump has threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act, an extraordinary move that would grant him sweeping domestic military powers and potentially sidestep recent Supreme Court limits on the use of federal troops and law enforcement. 1,000 additional ICE agents have been sent to Minnesota, suggesting Trump is essentially using ICE as a specialized paramilitary force to target protesters and suppress dissent. And the Pentagon has military. So you can imagine what they look like after something like that happened. That is what they're saying we are crescendoing to in Minneapolis, and that what has happened basically was very much like that. So they concluded in a fast-moving emergency that this magnitude, that the courts would not be able to stop all of this or intervene quickly enough, and that things would basically spiral out of control, and they would not want to touch it even if they could. They warned against senior military leaders who could face orders to use force not only against National Guard units, but against unarmed civilians, and that they must be prepared to assess the legality of such orders. Basically, it is a judicial and military and domestic just mess, and something on par with basically in 1865. So you can read that right there. That's in The Guardian. It's an interesting read. Posted on the Subscribe Star and Locals as well. President Trump, new statement, says he had a call with Tim Walz, and they were on a similar wavelength, and they're now going to move forward with ICE in Minneapolis. They are redoing some of their stuff on purpose because it is getting out of hand. Phenomenal ICE call with Minneapolis. Trump suggests he's willing to eventually withdraw ICE agents from Minneapolis. Fatal shooting of the 37-year-old intensive care nurse on Saturday has made all this come to a head. Quote, at some point we will leave. They've done a phenomenal job, Trump said in the Wall Street Journal. Trump is attempting to sideline Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski in favor of Tom Homan. Homan has been against the Minneapolis strategy since the beginning. Minneapolis court considers whether Trump's deployment of ICE agents violates the Constitution. They're hearing arguments on Monday on whether Trump's administration is deploying 3,000 immigration agents to Minnesota, whether it's crossed the line for law enforcement into unconstitutional occupation. Extraordinary legal question centers on the 10th Amendment, which reserves to all states all powers not explicitly granted to the federal government in the Constitution. It's interesting argument. Lawyers for Minnesota and the cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul, in their suit that Operation Metro Surge has become so intrusive and dangerous that it accounts for an illegal occupation of the state. They're asking Kate Menendez, Biden-appointed U.S. district judge, so that's obviously that case is screwed. And any Turkish role in Gaza, Turkey will come to act and continue to act. There are unconfirmed reports. This is from Amir Sarfati. I know all kinds of people love him. There was a coup attempt in China yesterday, but Xi received intelligence 2 hours before the incident and has since arrested nearly 3,000 people, including personnel and their families. This is a very interesting development. I don't know the validity of it, but to be honest with you, Amir Sarfati doesn't get crappy intelligence. And if it is true, it is just further global chaos. If China has a coup, I mean, can you even imagine what the geopolitical implications would be? Senior military official from the headquarters of Iran's Joint Armed Forces Command tells the Lebanese Al Mayadeen channel, identified with the axis of resistance, that no hostile force against Iran can consider the security of its forces and bases as guaranteed. Senior official further emphasized that attempts to influence internal affairs in Iran have always failed, misguided path. Defined it, will not bring any results to those who follow it. In addition, the senior official noted that in Iran will not initiate any war, but it will not allow any threats to reach the implementation stage, even in the initial phases. They sit, they wait, and they will attack if attacked. Afghan Minister of Education confirms that access to schools for women in the country is permanently banned. Any attempt by Iran to harm us will be met with a decisive response. It would be a very grave mistake, one mistake too many. It's like both sides are waiting for the other side to attack. That's Netanyahu. EU Council approves a ban on imports of Russian gas starting 2027. They approved the legislation in Brussels. Ban is designed to pass by a qualified majority, bypassing resistance from countries that still depend on Russian energy supplies. As expected, Slovakia and Hungary voted against it. Gold's market cap hit $35 trillion. Silver is now at $6 trillion. Gold and silver are now 9 times the next, which is NVIDIA market cap. Silver has risen to $112 an ounce. For the first time in history, it is up 57%, not done, still going. It's doubled since December 19th. 100% in 38 days. Consider that. Natural gas prices have surged 20% on the day. They're now up 107% in 5 trading days. Nothing is normal, and as this is entitled, everything is breaking, breaking, breaking. Prepare yourselves accordingly. One of the most incredible commodity markets we have ever seen. Top Border Patrol official Gregory Bovino and some of his agents are expected to leave Minneapolis tomorrow and return to their respective sectors, according to 3 sources familiar with the discussions. China Link hackers secretly accessed the mobile phones of senior Downing Street officials 21 to 2024, exposing private calls, texts, location data. Aides to Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, Rishi Sunak were all targeted in the breach that is still ongoing. Operation known as Salt Typhoon, part of a wider global espionage campaign, also hit the U.S. and other allies. Intelligence sources say it reached the heart of Downing Street. So, yeah. Okay. Sorry, checking chat. Venezuela's acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, says enough with Washington's orders over the politicians in Venezuela. Let it be Venezuelan politics that resolves their issues and their internal politics. So still going there. And after Trump's call with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Trump will reduce the number of federal agents in Minnesota if local officials increase cooperation. Israeli Channel 13 says this key week as Israel suggests that U.S. may attack Iran. The channel also reports that Israeli representatives conveyed to the U.S. that they strike should include attacks on Iran's ground-to-ground missile systems in addition to government targets. Some Gulf officials say that the massive U.S. strike on Iran is likely and that Trump will probably target their political leadership. UK is travel with Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait. And former Delta Force mercenary Dale Comstock has alleged that there was a bit of a, well, let's just say Joe and Z came together because they wanted to take out T. Leave it at that. Shanghai silver, 127 an ounce, up 127 since December 1st, 127%. They are literally moving in a straight line higher. It's 1979 all over again, they say. GameStop surges 5% after Michael Burry announces he has been buying it. Silver hit a $115 an ounce, is now officially up more than 60% this month in unprecedented moves. Anyone keeping track, silver hit $100 just 24 trading hours ago. U.S. natural gas prices are extending gains, 40% on the day, now on track for the largest daily gain in history, 240% since January 16th. Gas prices rising from $3 a gallon to $7.20 a gallon in 5 days. Good luck with your bills. Silver price is now up 13% on the day. 13% on the day. Largest daily gain since 2008. Already risen 255% in 12 months. Silver demand has become so strong, physical shortages are being reported across markets. And U.S. data center construction has jumped 18.5% year on year to add to your bills. October 2025 to a record $42 billion annualized rate. This is just $3 billion below the $45 billion spent on office buildings. Spending on data centers has tripled since ChatGPT in 2022. I strongly suggest you prepare yourself accordingly. Okay? That is your crisis report for January 26, 2026. We're brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. God bless you all. Check out the other links in the description. Join us on Subscribestar, Locals, and Substack, where you can get a full transcript of this. And please consider becoming a member here as it keeps the Borgarino off the Baccarino. God bless. Have a great day.